right, YouTube, this is what I'm giving y'all today. deGrasse Tyson exposes religion using logic and facts. This is a 30-minute video, y'all. I told y'all I was going to bring some things that I'll be watching. So I'm bringing it to y'all. Don't judge me. God don't want you to judge nobody, so don't judge me. Okay? Give y'all chance. Y'all like, comment, subscribe, and watch this video with me. Let's go.
Anybody know that there's a heaven, that they're going somewhere, that there's an afterlife? How could anyone know that?
No, they can.
That boggles my mind.
They can believe they know.
Well, but belief is, I could believe that it's raining,
Well,
but
that's
it
right.
ain't.
Well, this is the difference between believing something and using the methods and tools of science to establish what is objectively true.
Until I want to
And
talk.
what is objectively true is something that is true outside of your belief system. That's what science is.
Facts and belief. I know the religious people believe, the scientist says prove. What do you believe? What do you think happens when we die?
Well, so I can make some unassailable statements about what happens when you die. So you spend your life eating food. Food has a calorie content, and calorie is a source of energy. Calorie is a unit of energy. You bring it in, and then the energy is available for you to maintain your body temperature at nearly 100 degrees. It's 98.6. How do you keep something at 100 degrees when nothing else around you is? You're burning energy to sustain that, because biologically we need to be at that temperature to function. Okay?
True.
You also need energy to walk and to move. That's why you eat food. The moment you die, what happens? You don't maintain the energy. Your temperature drops. How far does it drop? To room temperature. At a funeral, in the casket, if you touch the hand of the person in the casket, your first thought is, the body's cold. No, it's not. It's room temperature. But it's cold compared to 100 degrees. They're no longer burning this energy. Okay, so now, every one of your molecules has energy within it.
Why are they playing this music, though?
If you get cremated, that energy gets released in the form of heat. And you heat the air, and that air radiates to space. You get buried, which is how I want my body to be disposed of. Bury me. Bury me. Because you know why? I don't want the energy content of my body to just get radiated out into space, of no use to anybody. Put me in the ground. Let the worms, microbes, come in and out of my body. And the energy content of my body that I had assembled over my lifetime, consuming the flora and fauna of this earth, my body then returns to them. And thus is the cycle of life. I know that's going to happen, because you can measure where the energy goes. And that's how I want to go out.
But you're not conscious, and that's for eternity, right?
Yeah, there's no evidence that I have any consciousness of anything. And by the way, is that so weird? Did you have consciousness before you were born? Were you saying, how come I'm not on Earth? My gosh, I need to be on Earth. Or where am I? No, there's just the state of non-existence. And so I'm not given any reason.
But now I am born. Okay. And I can't stand the thought of non-existence. See, I already have existence. I accept
Okay, it is true. We fear death because we are born knowing only life.
Right.
I get that. However, I take another view, because I've been asked, if you could live forever, would you?
Yes.
Okay, we're done on the interview.
Nah, not me.
No, okay, sure, that's an attractive idea. But the way I look at it is the knowledge that I'm going to die that creates the focus that I bring to being alive. The urgency of accomplishment. The need to express love. Now, not later. If we live forever, why ever even get out of bed in the morning?
Exactly.
Because you always have tomorrow.
You always got, exactly.
That's not the kind of life I want to lead.
I don't want to.
Why? Don't you fear not being around?
No. I fear living a life where I could have accomplished something and didn't. That's what I fear.
That sounds good.
I don't fear death.
there had to be
I don't say that
something
either.
that provoked the beginning. Do you give them an A at least for trying to reconcile faith and reason?
I don't think they're reconcilable.
What do you mean?
Well, so let me say that differently. All efforts that have been invested by brilliant people of the past have failed at that exercise. They just fail. And so I don't, the track record is so poor that going forward, I have essentially zero confidence, near zero confidence that there will be fruitful things to emerge from the effort to reconcile them. So, for example, if you knew nothing about science and you read, say, the Bible, the Old Testament, which in Genesis is an account of nature. That's what that is. And I said to you, give me your description of the natural world based only on this. You would say the world was created in 6 days and that stars are just little points of light, much lesser than the sun. And in fact, they can fall out of the sky, right? Because that's what happens during the Revelation. One of the signs that the second coming is that the stars will fall out of the sky and land on Earth. To even write that means you don't know what those things are. You have no concept of what the actual universe is. So everybody who tried to make proclamations about the physical universe based on Bible passages got the wrong answer. So what happened was when science discovers things and you want to stay religious or you want to continue to believe that the Bible is unerring, what you would do is you would say, well, let me go back to the Bible and reinterpret it. Then you'd say things like, oh, they didn't really mean that literally. They meant that figuratively. So this whole sort of reinterpretation of how figurative the poetic passages of the Bible are came after science showed that this is not how things unfolded.
That makes sense.
And so the educated religious people are perfectly fine with that. Mm-hmm. It's the fundamentalists who want to say that the Bible is the literal truth of God and want to see the Bible as a science textbook who are knocking on the science doors of the schools trying to put that content in the science.
I'm going to stop that right there because that's exactly how I used to feel. I feel it right now. I think that the people who are uneducated, how do I, oh my God, I don't know how to explain this, but he totally just said it right there.
Science showed that this is not how things unfolded. And so the educated religious people are perfectly fine with that.
Educated religious people understands why somebody would be not needing of the Bible or not religious. But the people who are the uneducated ones, they're the ones. I don't want to say that y'all uneducated. You know what?
It's the fundamentalists who want to say that the Bible is the literal truth of God and want to see the Bible as a science textbook who are knocking on the science doors of the schools trying to put that content in the science. Enlightened religious people are not behaving that way. They're saying, yes, science is cool, we're good with that, and use the Bible to get your spiritual enlightenment and your emotional fulfillment.
I have known serious religious people, not fundamentalists, who were scared when Carl Sagan opened his series with the words,
"The cosmos is all that is, or ever was, or ever will be."
That scared them because they interpret that to mean then if this is it, there's nothing else, no God and no life after.
For religious people, many people say, well, God is within you. Or God, there are ways that people have shaped this, rather than God is an old gray-bearded man in the clouds. So if God is within you, what I'm sure Carl would say, in your mind, and we can measure the neurosynaptic firings when you have a religious experience. We can tell you where that's happening, when it's happening, what you're feeling like at the time. So your mind, of course, is still within the cosmos.
But do you have any sympathy for people who seem to only feel safe in the vastness of the universe you describe in your show if they can infer a personal God who makes it more hospitable to them and cares for them?
In this, what we tell ourselves is a free country, which means you should have freedom of thought. I don't care what you think. I just don't. Go think whatever you want. Go ahead. Think that there's one God, 2 gods, 10 gods, or no gods. That is what it means to live in a free country.
Yeah, free mind. Ain't no free
arises
country only. It's
is
free
if you
mind, no matter
have
where you at.
a religious philosophy that is not based in objective realities that you then want to put in the science classroom.
That's why it's
Then
the
I'm going to
problem.
stand there and say, no, I'm not going to allow you in the science
That's why I
classroom.
say the uneducated.
I'm not telling you what to think. I'm just telling you in the science
people
class,
say
you're
they
not
people
doing
more
science.
woke now.
This is not science. Keep it out. That's when I stand up. Otherwise, go ahead. If you go to, you go online and in a Google search, you type God's worshipped by humans. There's a tally of all the gods ever worshipped by humans in the history of civilization. And it just goes screen after screen after screen after screen. So when you say, do you believe in God? Which God? Is it Zeus? Is it Poseidon? Is it the Jewish God? Is it the Christian God? Because the Jewish God from the Old Testament is filled with wrath. Okay. All right. And smoting and smiting and whatever the past tense verb is. And so and the New Testament, God is kinder. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. So
don't make no
you
sense.
look at all of this and say, is that the God you want me to comment on? Or is there some other God? Typically, it's the Judeo-Christian blend there. In that context, I would say in my studies of the universe, I value evidence, and I don't see evidence for any kind of active intelligence or power over anything. In America, 90% of the nation would claim to be religious. And you define this in a way that's unambiguous.
That.
You don't say, well, do you go to church every Sunday? You don't ask that question.
They don't.
Plenty of people go to church who are not religious. They go to get a date or so. They go for the cupcakes or something. They don't go to be spiritually enlightened.
Right.
So you ask a different question. You say, is there a God that listens to your prayers? If you answer yes to that, you're religious. By anybody's definition.
I think so too.
Because your understanding of a deity is that deity is monitoring your daily affairs. So that's unambiguous. This number's dropped in the last couple of years, but it's about 90%. Turns out if you go to college,
I think it's about like 80 now,
and get an advanced degree, a master's or a doctorate, where these are degrees where you actually question the state of existing knowledge. The undergraduate degree doesn't really do that. You're learning from textbooks that are written by somebody else. Your doctrines are already there. The higher degrees imply that you are questioning the very fabric of the knowledge you had previously learned. Among that community, it's 60%. It has dropped. Well, that's interesting. Let's keep going.
Yeah.
How about scientists? Of all stripes. So biologists, chemists, let's include engineers as well. People who have formal scientific training, mathematicians as well. Okay, what happens next? Drops to 40%. Now, if you look at this number, it looks like, wow, so scientists, the public is 90%, scientists are 40%. No, the drop is not that significant because every scientist has an advanced degree. So in fact, the drop is not from 90 to 40. The drop is from 60 to 40. So becoming a scientist is not as big an effect on whether you're religious as you might otherwise think. Most of the drop comes because you're educated beyond the level of college. So that's 40%. So now you go to elite scientists, members of the National Academy, highly accomplished subset among scientists, the number drops to 7%. There was a headline in Nature, the British journal Nature, which said after this study was released, 93% of elite scientists reject God. So that was supposed to be a shocking headline. And I look at that and I said, that's not even interesting. That was the trend line anyway. What's more interesting, which was not the headline, is that 7% of elite scientists pray to a God. Isn't that a more interesting fact to you?
Crazy.
Isn't that kind of interesting? The most accomplished scientists in the world, in that community, 7% of them still pray to a personal God. I think that is deserving of more study than the 93% who don't. Because something's going on there. We don't know what. And I have confronted people on this. I would say to the most sort of vociferous in the atheist community, I would say, you're beating the public over the head, telling them, why are you doing that? And I'm thinking, before you beat the public, why don't you beat them over the head, okay? No, I'm just saying, if you're going to rank, if you just, because you understand that first, because if you can't convert that 7%, you've got no hope in the general public. That's all I'm saying. This is among the ranks of the scientifically educated. Now, philosophers basically invented atheism. And if you check the statistic for philosophers, it's below 1%. There are no the only religious philosophers there are, they're like theologian philosophers, all right? If you subtract the theologic philosophers, this number is essentially 0, all right? So they're basically birthed atheism, the philosophers. And there's this talk, I don't know here in Australia, does the Bible in the public school class or not? No, is it by law or is it just by tradition? Is it by law? Okay. So in America, there's this understanding that the state and the church are separate. And by and large, that's been honored for most of the history of the country, by and large. And what's interesting about America, a point that was a little bit alluded to earlier today, is that it was founded on the principle that the state has no religion. The state is indifferent to what religion you might have. So that means there's no authority over you that's going to tell you who and what to worship. And that's a state that we all take for granted, but so many places in the world that is not true. Well, there's a case in New Jersey where a middle school kid was lectured to by the history teacher in a public school, and the history teacher said, if you don't accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior, you are going to hell. There's a little Muslim girl there, said you are already damned to hell. First point. Second, that Noah had dinosaurs on his ark. Third point he made is that Big Bang and evolution are just theories, and you can take them or leave them. So, I don't, like I said, I don't get into these.
I hear you in the court, man. I'm watching something and recording, man.
We got the Four Horsemen. That's
why I got it locked up.
We got a boy here who's coming up after. We got people who fight this stuff. I'm not one of those, really. I'm doing this.
Got one of the guys in the Discord, y'all.
It's like, I know you're all, this is the bone I'm throwing you, but I don't do this. So, but then I thought about it and I said, I have an op-ed. A letter to the editor on this that I can write. And I left out the part about Jesus. I left that out. Because if that's how he feels, he wants you to be Christian, that's okay, fine. I left that out. I went to the rest of what he said. And this was my letter, as it appeared in the New York Times. People cited violation of the First Amendment when that's a separation of church and state, essentially. New Jersey school teacher asserted that evolution and the Big Bang are not scientific and that Noah's Ark carried dinosaurs. The case is not about the need to separate church and state. It's about the need to separate ignorant, scientifically illiterate people from the ranks of teachers. That's the problem. If he wants to believe Jesus is his savior, that's not synonymous with being scientifically illiterate, because 40% of American scientists pray to a personal God. What is identical with being scientifically illiterate is that if Noah was a human being, he did not have dinosaurs on his ark, because humans and dinosaurs did not coexist. All right? Every one of those scientists knows that, even the 40% who pray to God. So this is how I've sort of split the kingdom there. Then you get the billboard wars. Okay, this was fun. Big Bang Theory. You got to be kidding. God. All right. So this goes on. This is what we put up with. All right. So then then there was like, let's come back. Praise Darwin, evolved beyond belief. Freedom from religion found it. So the billboard wars are in progress here. There's some people who are like okay with God and okay with sort of how things evolve, so they ride the fence. So here's a bumper sticker: The Big Bang Theory. God spoke, and bang, it happened. You know, so they're excited about both God and the Big Bang. But then we had this idiot back in May. Judgment Day. Did this Judgment Day stuff reach below the equator?
Holy God. Or holy God will bring judgment on May 21st. See, everybody coming with these different days and all this stuff, man.
Jeez. Okay.
May 21st.
Yeah, it was.
They always got these different days. Whatever day y'all say, they coming
like
back.
Jesus will come one day. This had a date.
They've been waiting for God to come back forever.
You just sort of wait around for it. All right. So
had slavery, which was the worst thing to black people in America, and all the slaves was crying God all the way till they died. Then you pass that on, you crying God all the way till they die. And they crying, the next generation crying God all the way till they die. When what returning? What's returning?
Oh,
when he coming to save?
It turns out that May 21st was only the day Jesus was supposed to show up. The actual end
then
of
I'm
the
hearing
world
the Anunnakis made the white people.
October 21st. So the end of the world
made
is still
white
to come
people
this year.
to
This
control
is directly
us.
from the website.
So
I had
bull
to tweet.
crap going on.
So this is May 21st.
I gotta hear all
on May 21st or May 20th,
science side, the biblical side.
I tweeted this: If
Put it
Jesus
together and get
actually
your own
arrives
stuff.
May 21st, it'll be easy to convince skeptics. If he doesn't show up, do the faithful become atheists? That was my question. Now, in
That's
the
my
Twitter
question
stream,
too.
it's a live conversation with complete strangers. Everybody depositing their 140 characters worth of thought. So here this is. There was a huge reaction to that tweet. Now, you would expect that most of my followers, or at least a big fraction of them, would be sort of atheistic. So you'd expect people to say, this guy's an idiot. Why are we even spending any time on them? Well, one such person did make such a reply, but not in the way you might think.
What did it say?
No, anyone who's read the Bible know this camping asshole was full of shit from the start. Okay. So what do you do with that? So this is somebody complaining about the prediction of Jesus coming because he says this other guy doesn't know jack about the Bible, but this guy does. And went on, there are other places where people quoted that one can't know when Jesus comes. So the fact that this guy's saying he knows means he doesn't read the Bible. So this is what's out there. People who are ready to vociferously argue about who knows the Bible the least. September 11th, 2001, we just had our 10th anniversary of that. I happen to live 3.5 blocks from what became known as Ground Zero. This image was taken outside my dining room window. The North Tower is on fire. These are 110-story buildings, the World Trade Center towers.
Oh, World Trade Center. I seen
this
it.
This image is the
seen
instant
it from my high school.
The South Tower was hit.
I can make you bad.
It was hit from the left. You could not see the entry point because we're blocked
saw the
by this
second one
other
go
black
down.
building. It's a hotel.
Everybody was getting picked up from school, and I didn't get picked up. My mother was stuck. On the I think she was stuck on the highway or something. They wasn't letting, she worked at the airport then. And they wasn't letting nobody go nowhere. Everybody getting picked up. You getting picked up. Something. It was just alerting the little speaker box thing. What the hell the speaker box thing is? It's inside your house. Inside your classroom. And something getting picked up. Something. I'm always sitting in school like, man, somebody gonna come get me. I'm thinking like, ain't nobody come get me. And me and all the other Caribbean homies I had, we met outside. It was a regular day, and we walked home. And was like, man, all this stuff going down. Something. Ain't come get. This is 11th grade. That was 11th
which is just kind of in the foreground. You see part of the South Tower punching out. This is before the jet fuel had ignited. And when you ignite jet fuel, you set a deflagration wave, not a bomb wave. It's a different kind of wave. It's not accompanied by a shock. This is a split second after that. The fuel has ignited, creating more pressure. And within a split second of that, the entire South Tower was engulfed. And this is fragments of plane and bodies and office coming out the other side. Now, why am I dragging you through this? 62 minutes later, both buildings had collapsed. And there was blue sky where there was once these buildings. This is directly outside of my apartment building.
Y'all ain't see this?
The emergency vehicles had come. This is the pulverized World Trade Center dust that had settled.
When this had happened, I was just worrying about everybody in my family that lived in New York. I was like, damn, suppose they went to work or they was downtown Manhattan shopping or something. I'm like, damn, we couldn't. I think the phones was down. Man, it was crazy September 11th.
I say this because shortly after this gentleman got up. President of the United States, George W. Bush. This is actually my photo of him. I was in that room at that time when he spoke. See the medals there on the table? I was on a committee to tell him who to give those medals to the Presidential Medal of Science. And so he actually gave them to everyone we told him to give them to, except he didn't read their citations. He's smart enough to know not to pronounce any of the science words that were in the citation. So he put the medal around the neck. Somebody else read the citations. Shortly after September 11th, he gets up. I don't remember where he gave the speech. And he says, in an attempt to distinguish we from they, he says, our God is the God who named the stars. This is before I was on his Rolodex. You know, I could have saved him from himself. Okay? It's a loose quote from Genesis that says God named all the stars in the sky. Okay? First of all, it's the same God. So he's got that wrong. But Allah, God of Islam and God of the Jewish God, it's the same God. They call them different names, but it's the same book delivering you the same God. Apart from him getting that wrong, he says, our God is the God who named the stars. What he just didn't know, 2/3 of all stars in the night sky have Arabic names.
Crazy word.
2/3 of all stars that have names these are all the Arabic star names. All of these. I don't think this is the point he wanted to make. I don't think he figured that out. Like I said, it was before I was on his Rolodex. And so you say, well, how does this happen? How do you get a culture where stars in the night sky are named by them? What was going on? How did that happen? And you have to go back 1,000 years, and you get to Islam in what's the golden period of Islam. In that period, algebra was invented. Algorithm is an Arabic word. All these words that begin with A-L, 10 to 1, it's an Arabic word. Our numerals are Arabic numerals. Did you pause and reflect on why we call them Arabic numerals? We just call them that, right? But somebody did good stuff with these numerals. It was in Baghdad 1,000 years ago.
I hated algebra. Look, I went to high school. I was placed in algebra 2. I didn't never take algebra 1. I took algebra 2. Algebra 2. Mr. Duchesne. Mr. Duchesne, you told me I was never going to be nothing. You told me I never was going to make it. Mr. Duchesne. And do you remember me seeing you outside of White Castle at Jersey Fried Chicken on Elizabeth Ave? I walked in and I seen you, Mr. Duchesne. And I had my White Castle uniform on. You was like, oh, you made it. You made it. I'm still making it now. I'm going to be 40 in November, Mr. Duchesne. I hope you retired and doing well as well.
They invented algebra. And
So
there's advances in mathematics, agriculture, engineering, all of these fields.
Mr. Duchesne failed me 2 times, yo. 2 times. And I'm like, I ain't even take part 1. I don't even know what I'm doing. He did not care. Mr. Duchesne did not care. 9th grade, I took geometry. 10th grade, they put me in algebra 2. Because I guess they thought I took algebra 1 in 8th grade with my school, Peshon Avenue School, Newark, New Jersey. Some of the classes, it was 4 classes. It was a math class, a science class, social studies, and reading. And they split all the 8th graders into different classes, but we rotated classes. But on the last semester, or whatever we call it, the last few months, the math teacher, the regular math teacher, started teaching algebra. She would pull some of the kids out from the classes and teach them algebra. But I wasn't one of those kids, so I don't know how. You know how the system is. I'm gonna just say the hood system, the school system, in the less fortunate areas of, you know what, the school system. I guess they thought everybody in this 8th grade class from the school, when they came over to this high school, Malcolm X Shabazz, they thought that we all took algebra 1. And you know how people they lie and cheat for grades, and you know how the high schools do in the hood.
All at a time when Europe was disemboweling heretics. So something changed. 12th century, this gentleman came around, Al-Ghazali, a Muslim scholar, learned.
I send this to my uncle.
At this point, Islam is maybe just a few hundred years old. People
Uncle
are reading the Quran and interpreting it however they sort of want to and feel like it. There's not a coherence to the practice of Islam until he comes around and codifies the behavior of a good Muslim. In much the same way St. Augustine, in his book Cities of God, codified what it is to be a good Christian. How do you burn the witches? There's a recipe for that. They got to be upside down so the blood does, there's a whole
Religion
itinerary for how to be a good Muslim.
Yeah,
And
a lot of different stuff.
in his writings contain the assertion that the manipulation of numbers is the work of the devil. 2, actions that you see in nature are the will of Allah. Well, if you drop a stone and it falls, Allah willed that. If that's your explanation, your curiosity stops.
See, with what he just saying, I used to look at life like that. Even when I was so deep into church, if I even came to work late, if I woke up late, I used to blame everything on God. I used to be like, I didn't control that. I used to put everything, like, I come to work late, I'd be like, well, I'm here. God allowed me to sleep a little extra. I woke up a little late because of God. I still made it here on time and alive because of God, and I'm here. I used to even tell the supervisor, whatever. They probably looking at me like, yo, you crazy. I used to put everything on God. Everything. If something happened to me, I'm like, God knew it was gonna happen. It's all good. Brush it off my shoulder. I can get a flat tire stuck on the side of the road for hours. Don't even matter. I'd be like, God knew what it was, and I just brush it off my shoulder like it's nothing. This is how so much I was like, look, God gonna do it. God gonna do it. God gonna do it. I lived my life like that. When I was deep in the church, I lived my life like that. Because if he hears all, knows all, see all, he knows all. So it wasn't no reason to stress. It wasn't I'd be like, God know. God know. God watching. God watching. I ain't letting nothing bother me. Nothing.
You combine
Still today, I still don't let nothing bother me.
everything happening in nature being the will of Allah to the manipulation of numbers being the work of the devil, and the entire enterprise of that golden era collapses. Now, historians, when they look at that era, they say, well, the Mongols came and so historians think of the world in terms of wars and kings. They think less about it philosophically, about intellectual movements or the absence thereof. Islam rose again after this period. Didn't have science associated with it. No new inventions in math. You look at the period of Islam in Spain, the period where the great Alhambra was built. There is no attendant science going on there. It's done. It's gone. And it is a cost that exists to this day. There is 1.3 billion Muslims in the world today who are not participants on the frontier of scientific discovery.
Yeah, they don't worry about science.
What's the best measure of this? Just check out the Nobel Prizes. I tallied them. Okay? How many Jews have won the Nobel Prize? In the sciences, here they go. 25% of all Nobel Prizes in the sciences are won by Jews. How many Jews in the world? About 15 million tops? 15 million? How many Muslims in the world? 1.3 billion, which is huger, way huger than 15 million. How many Muslims have won the Nobel Prize in the sciences? 2.5. 2.
So they ain't worrying about science. They worrying about their word.
I'm sorry. I just
worrying
can't.
about the word. That's all.
I've tried. I've really tried.
I understand what he's saying.
I'm sorry. That's how many. And the physics one was a Pakistani physicist, not a Middle Eastern physicist. So, Jews have 50 times the number of Nobel Prizes. They're 1/80th of the population of the Muslims. It's 4,000 times the impact. I lose sleep every night wondering how many secrets of the universe lay undiscovered because 1/7, what's the population? 1/6 of the population of the world is not a participant on the exploration frontier. What thoughts have gone undreamt of?
Damn. And he has a show called Star Talk. But yeah, he talks about everything. I mean, very intelligent man. He talks about everything. But space, real life incidences. He talks about everything. So you can't hate on a man. Black man. I gotta listen to him. Gotta support the black man. But yeah. This stuff that I be watching on Sunday. About to go play the game with the guys. Whoever's on. I really don't care about playing the game, but I'm just chilling. Waiting for Chatty Shay to come home and make some salmon today. And it's about to go down. So y'all be safe. Card out.
Watch out, watch out, watch out. Get out the way. Move. Leave me alone. Get off me. Don't touch me. God. That's how I ride to be. Wait, no diddy. Watch how I whip up these lyrics with no recipes. YouTube shit stressing me. Come get next to me. With all that good top, you gon' need a mop to clean up, baby.